What if saving a life meant changing the fate of the entire galaxy? A ship mechanic thinks he is helping a wounded warrior, hiding her from enemies and repairing what little he can. But he soon discovers she is not just a fighter. She is a Galactic Queen. Now, caught between alien empires, ancient powers, and impossible odds, he must decide. Will he risk everything for a cause bigger than himself, or walk away and lose everything? Human courage, ingenuity, and survival are about to be tested on a scale the universe has never seen. Watch as a mechanic becomes a hero and witness humanity rise where no one thought it could. Don't blink. The galaxy depends on it. Smoke hung thick in the air, curling like serpents around the shattered remains of battlecruisers. Sparks danced across twisted metal, reflecting off pools of molten alloy that hissed as they cooled. The scent of ozone and burnt circuits stung Jarek's nostrils, making his eyes water, yet he pressed on. He had scavenged countless war zones before, but something about this one set his instincts on edge. Through the wreckage, a faint groan reached him, a life signal, weak but persistent, pulsing like a distant star begging for attention. Jarek knelt, brushing shards of debris aside with trembling hands. Amid the jagged wreckage, a figure lay crumpled. Her armor was scorched, torn in places, revealing the pale, human-like skin beneath, but her eyes burned with ferocity he could not place. He lifted her gently, feeling the unnatural warmth radiating from her body. Her breath came in shallow gasps, each one a struggle against pain. He carried her to the nearest shadow of safety, a collapsed turret offering cover from patrolling drones above. The universe felt impossibly vast at that moment, cold and indifferent. Yet here was life, fragile and defiant. He tore strips of his jacket and fashioned a temporary sling. Blood, dark and glimmering, seeped through the fabric, yet she did not scream. Her lips moved in a whisper. "Hide me, or they will kill everything I am," she said, her voice raw yet commanding, carrying authority that made his skin prickle. Jarek's mind raced. He knew nothing of her. A warrior, perhaps a rebel, lost behind enemy lines. Helping her made sense. Caution dictated secrecy. Fear whispered warnings. Yet the human part of him, the part that refused to abandon another living being, propelled him forward. Hours became a blur as he patched burns, straightened fractured limbs, and jury-rigged a portable medkit from scraps he scavenged from the wreckage. Every clang of distant patrols sent adrenaline slicing through his veins. Every hiss of the dying engines made him flinch. As he worked, he noticed subtle things. Her armor bore insignias unfamiliar to him, intricate filigree and alien glyphs that shimmered faintly in the dim light. He brushed a hand over her shoulder plate, marveling at the craftsmanship. "Where are you from?" he asked quietly. She did not answer immediately. Instead, her hand twitched, brushing his arm ever so slightly, not in fear, but acknowledgement. The night dragged on, a cacophony of distant gunfire, falling metal and the hiss of smoke vents. Jarek did not rest. Every second mattered. Every shadow could conceal death. Yet he felt alive, more alive than ever in the midst of chaos. When the first light of dawn seeped into the wreckage, he realized she was not just any warrior. Her presence exuded power, a magnetic authority that demanded respect. And when her eyes met his, now fully open and burning with quiet intensity, he felt his own pulse quicken. "I am not who you think I am," she said, voice steady, almost regal. Jarek paused, holding the strap of his makeshift sling tighter. "What do you mean?" he asked. She smiled faintly, a flash of both humor and danger. "I am the last heir of the galactic throne," she revealed. The words hit him like a pulse cannon. All the alien patrols, the deadly mines, the ruined fleet. He was no longer just helping a stranded fighter. He was aiding a queen, a ruler whose life could determine the fate of countless star systems. Jarek swallowed, feeling the weight of the universe settle on his shoulders. He could turn away, walk back into his quiet life of engines and circuits. Yet something deeper stirred within him, a stubborn spark that refused to bow to fear. "The universe," she said softly, "needs humans like you, strong, cunning, unyielding. You think you are merely surviving, yet you carry the potential to change everything." And in that moment, amidst the smoke and silence, Jarek realized that humanity's strength, its courage, intelligence, and ingenuity, was about to be tested like never before. The Queen's hand grazed his shoulder again, lighter now, a silent promise and warning. They would not survive long alone. Enemies lurked in shadows deeper than the void. Allies might betray. And the galaxy itself seemed to hum with anticipation, as if aware of the storm to come. Yarrick tightened his grip on her, feeling for the first time in his life the gravity of a true choice. A choice that would demand every ounce of human resilience he possessed. A choice that might ignite a legend. The first ship of the enemy patrol sliced through the horizon. The Queen's eyes narrowed. "Are you ready?" she asked. Yarrick nodded. He had no idea what lay ahead, yet for the first time he felt certain. Yarrick adjusted the makeshift sling, feeling the Queen's weight press against him. A fragile yet unyielding presence. The enemy patrols drew closer, their engines humming like a swarm of angry hornets. He scanned the wreckage around them, calculating. Every beam, every slab of metal, every broken panel could serve as cover, a trap, or a weapon. The Queen's gaze swept over the landscape with quiet intensity, and Yarrick sensed she was already mapping escape routes in her mind. "Where do we go?" he asked, his voice low, almost swallowed by the wind and distant explosions. "Follow me," she said, rising slowly despite her injuries. Her movements were precise, economical, and somehow graceful for someone who had been torn apart by battle. Yarrick felt a surge of admiration. She was more than a survivor. She was a tactician, a strategist, a queen who had mastered the art of survival even before this battle. They moved in silence, slipping through the ruins like shadows, the sun's first rays glinting off twisted metal and debris. Every step was calculated, every movement deliberate. The human heart, he realized, thrived in these moments of danger, sharpening instincts to a blade-like precision. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shook, and Yarrick stumbled. A squad of alien drones emerged on the horizon, their sleek armor glinting, weapons primed, scanning for any sign of movement. Yarrick's breath caught. Panic whispered in his mind, but he forced it down. Humans adapted. Humans survived. He ducked behind a destroyed turret and motioned for the Queen to follow. "Can you move faster?" he asked, whispering. She smiled faintly, the glint of command in her eyes. "Faster is relative. Watch." She activated a small device hidden in her belt, a pulse of light erupting from it and sending the drones into a temporary frenzy. They spun, weapons misfiring. Sensors scrambled. Yarrick's jaw dropped. "Technology or magic?" he asked under his breath. "Both," she said, her tone dry. Her eyes met his. "But mostly strategy." Using the distraction, they darted across the battlefield, leaping over wreckage, sliding beneath fallen beams, every human reflex honed to perfection. Yarrick felt alive in a way he never had while repairing engines or patching ships. Every decision mattered. Every second could be the difference between life and death. They reached a ridge that overlooked the valley below. Smoke spiraled from the wrecks, and in the distance, a massive alien ship hovered, scanning relentlessly. The Queen crouched, motioning him closer. "You see that ship?" she asked. Yarrick nodded. "It controls everything below. Drones, mines, patrols. It is the Nexus." She looked at him, eyes blazing. "We cannot fight it head-on. Not yet, but we can disrupt it." Yarrick felt a thrill run through his veins. Humans were born problem solvers. Adaptable, clever, unpredictable. And now, he had the chance to prove it on a scale that dwarfed any battlefield he had ever known. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. She handed him a small, compact device. "Place this in their control hub. It will scramble their systems long enough for us to escape." But getting there, she trailed off, pain flashing across her face. Yarrick understood immediately. It was a suicide run in conventional terms, but humans had never been conventional. Courage was in their blood, and ingenuity in their minds. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "This is what humans do," he whispered to himself. "We adapt, we fight, we survive." The Queen activated a stealth field around them, a faint shimmer that blended them into the wreckage. Every movement was tense, silent, calculated. As they crept toward the alien hub, Yarrick's mind raced. He studied every pattern of drone movement, Every shadow, every angle of approach, years of engineering and repair, years of dissecting machines, now serve a higher purpose: life, freedom, survival. They reach the base of the hub, a massive structure, pulsating with alien energy, towers of metal that hummed with power. Jarek's hand shook slightly as he approached the entrance, but the Queen's hand on his shoulder steadied him. Humans never back down, she reminded him. He placed the device, feeling it click into place. A surge of adrenaline coursed through his veins. And then chaos. Alarms blared. Drones swarmed. Energy beams cut through the air like liquid fire. Yarrick ducked, rolled, dodged, and ran. Every instinct guided him. Every human skill, honed through years of survival in a dangerous galaxy, became a weapon. The Queen followed, her presence beside him a constant reminder that human courage thrived even when the universe itself seemed to conspire against them. They leapt into a hidden maintenance shaft just as the alien hub erupted in sparks and flame, the device sending shock waves through its systems. The drones faltered, their coordination shattered. Jarek's chest heaved. Adrenaline coursed through his veins. He looked at her, and for the first time he saw not just a queen but a force of nature. "We did it," he said, awe in his voice. She shook her head. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy will hunt us now. Every faction, every warlord, every tyrant who fears what we represent." Jarek's stomach clenched. The stakes were higher than he had ever imagined. Not just survival, but the fate of entire systems rested on their shoulders. Yet, even in the face of unimaginable odds, he felt a fire ignite within him. Humans had always faced the impossible, and human ingenuity had always prevailed. The Queen tapped the comms device. "Coordinates for the safe jump. We leave now or we die here." Yarrick nodded. Every muscle tensed. Every sense sharpened. Humans thrived when pushed beyond limits. They sprinted through the rubble-strewn corridors of the alien ship, dodging energy bursts, collapsing floors, and malfunctioning drones. Every step was a test, every breath a battle. Finally, they reached a hangar bay. A small, battered starship waited, engines flickering with uncertain life. Yarrick dove into the cockpit, fingers flying over controls. Years of tinkering and repair became instinct, guiding him as he fought to bring the ship online. The Queen strapped herself in beside him, scanning the skies with an intensity that made his own pulse accelerate. "Ready?" she asked, voice calm but deadly. Yarrick grinned, the human spark blazing in his chest. "Always." Engines roared to life. The hangar doors groaned, resisting, then burst open. Outside, the alien fleet pursued, a wave of silver and black warships cutting through the atmosphere like predators. Yarrick pushed the throttle, feeling the ship respond beneath him. Every vibration a song of human perseverance. The Queen's hand touched his, a brief acknowledgement of trust, strength, and shared purpose. Together, they shot into the void, weaving between enemy fire, evading missiles with sharp, precise maneuvers. Humans were small, fragile, yet brilliant, unpredictable, clever, unstoppable when driven by cause and courage. And as they jumped into hyperspace, leaving destruction behind, Yarrick realized something profound. The galaxy was vast, alien, and perilous, but humans endured. They survived. They fought. They conquered. And now, the fate of empires rested, at least in part, in the hands of a mechanic and a queen. The journey was only beginning, and the universe, vast and indifferent, would soon learn that human ingenuity and courage were forces no alien power could contain. Yarrick leaned back, exhausted but alive. The Queen's gaze met his, sharp and unwavering. "Next, we take back the galaxy," she said. And in that moment, Yarrick understood the truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were legends in the making. Hyperspace jolted the ship violently, throwing Yarrick against the console. His hands clenched the controls as warning lights flashed, flickering in chaotic patterns. The Queen steadied herself beside him, her presence calm, yet every movement radiated authority. "We are not safe yet," she said, voice sharp and commanding. "The enemy will follow. They always follow." Yarrick swallowed, feeling the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. He had repaired engines, salvaged ships, and dodged asteroid fields, but nothing had prepared him for this. The survival of Queen and the fate of countless worlds resting in his hands. "Then we make them regret it," he muttered under his breath. Humans did not cower. Humans fought back. The ship lurched again as a temporal shockwave hit them, throwing sparks across the panels. Jarek's mind raced. Every sensor, every gauge became a lifeline. The enemy was not just following. They were tracking, predicting, anticipating. "Take manual control," the Queen commanded. "I need to focus on stealth protocols." Jarek's fingers flew across the console, overriding autopilot, recalculating vectors. Every adjustment, every microsecond mattered. He felt the raw thrill of challenge, the essence of what it meant to be human. Thinking faster, acting smarter, surviving against impossible odds. Minutes stretched into eternity. Outside, alien warships surged, cutting hyperspace trails as they closed the gap. Jarek maneuvered the ship through dense asteroid belts, skimming over molten asteroid cores and weaving between floating debris. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and they would be reduced to cosmic dust. The Queen monitored communications, listening to fragmented alien transmissions. "They are coordinating," she said, voice low but steady. "Something more is coming." Jarek glanced at her, catching the subtle flicker in her eyes, a mix of fear and determination. She was human enough to feel vulnerability, alien enough to command power that few could comprehend. And humans like him, engineers, survivors, fighters, were the perfect complement to her strength. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. A beam of energy tore through the hull, and sparks rained down like metallic rain. Jarek gritted his teeth, punching the emergency repair sequence. Panels hissed, circuits burned, but he held control. "Impressive," the Queen remarked, voice tinged with awe. "Humans endure against all odds." He smirked, sweat dripping down his face. "Endurance is in our blood." The enemy had anticipated their maneuvers, but humans were unpredictable. Jarek executed a daring barrel roll, dodging a missile salvo while simultaneously rerouting power to the engines. The ship groaned under the strain, yet responded with surprising agility. They emerged from the asteroid field, battered but intact. Jarek took a deep breath, feeling the raw power of human ingenuity, the ability to think, adapt, and conquer when logic seemed to fail. But the respite was brief. The Queen's eyes narrowed. Multiple targets incoming. They are preparing for a blockade. Jarek's pulse quickened. He scanned the instruments, mapping escape routes, calculating angles, predicting enemy trajectories. Humans thrived in such moments, their minds unmatched when chaos reigned. "Take the left vector," he instructed, confidence replacing fear. "Trust me." She nodded, activating stealth modules while he piloted with precision. The enemy ships surged, caught off guard by the maneuver, their coordination faltering. Minutes later, they reached a distant moon, its surface cratered and jagged. Jarek guided the ship into a narrow canyon, skimming cliffs that scraped the hull, sparks flying. The Queen's gaze followed him, approving. "You are more than a mechanic," she said softly. "You are the human spirit in its purest form, resilient, cunning, and unstoppable." Jarek chuckled, adrenaline still pulsing through him. He did not need praise. He needed survival. Humans survived because they refused to accept impossibility. They landed in the shadow of a dormant volcano, engines cut, silence enveloping them like a protective shroud. Jarek breathed in, feeling the raw tension of victory mingled with lingering fear. The Queen's injuries were stabilizing, her armor scorched but functional. For now, they were safe. But safety in the galaxy was temporary. Jarek knew that. Humans had always thrived by preparing for the impossible, by turning weakness into strength, by embracing courage in the face of overwhelming odds. "Where do we go from here?" he asked, wiping soot from his face. She turned, eyes burning with determination. "We rebuild. We gather allies. We strike back at those who would crush humanity and the galaxy under their rule." Jarek felt a surge of purpose. He had always fixed ships, repaired systems, kept machinery alive. Now he would help keep hope alive. Hope, courage, and ingenuity, the essence of what it meant to be human. The moon's surface trembled slightly beneath them, echoing the distant hum of alien engines. The Queen stood tall, her aura commanding even in shadow. She had trusted a human, a simple mechanic, and he had delivered. Humans do not yield, she said. They adapt, they fight, they endure, and sometimes they save galaxies. Yarrick smiled. He had never felt so alive, never felt the sheer weight and thrill of responsibility. Every choice, every action mattered. Every human skill, intellect, bravery, creativity, became a weapon against the impossible. They gathered supplies, patched minor damages, and plotted their next move. The enemy would not rest, and neither could they. Hours later, they ascended into orbit aboard the repaired ship. The stars stretched infinitely before them, each one a challenge, a danger, and an opportunity. Yarrick gripped the controls, eyes scanning the expanse. Humans had conquered impossible odds before, on planets, in wars, in survival against alien predators. Now, they faced the galaxy itself. The Queen beside him, eyes sharp and commanding, spoke quietly. The galaxy will try to break us. Every system, every tyrant, every faction will test our strength. He nodded, and humans will respond. We always do. Hyperspace coordinates locked. Engines roared, propelling them into the unknown. The universe awaited. Danger lurked in every corner. Allies and enemies blurred together. And yet, humans thrived where others failed. Yarrick felt it. A spark, a fire, the unyielding force of humanity. He was not just a mechanic. He was a survivor, a fighter, a symbol of what humans could achieve when they refused to surrender. The Queen placed a hand on his shoulder. Together, we will reclaim what is ours, she said. Human ingenuity and courage will lead the way. He smiled, gripping the controls with renewed determination. The galaxy was vast. Alien powers threatened every corner. But humans would rise, adapt, and triumph. They jumped into hyperspace again, leaving chaos behind. A galaxy-wide war awaited them, a test of intellect, bravery, and the unshakable human spirit. And Yarrick knew, in the core of his being, that humans would not just survive. They would conquer, they would endure, they would shine, because the universe had underestimated them. And humans never allowed themselves to be underestimated. The Queen's eyes met his, unwavering and fierce. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and Yarrick understood the journey had only begun. The galaxy would tremble, and humanity would rise to meet it. Yarrick leaned over the console, monitoring every pulse, every energy spike. The Queen sat beside him, silent but alert, her gaze scanning distant star systems as if she could see through the very fabric of the galaxy. "Yarrick," she said, voice calm but edged with authority, "what we do next decides everything. Allies must be found, fleets must be rebuilt, and our enemies must never see us coming." He swallowed, heart pounding. Humans had always faced impossible odds, wars, predators, collapsing planets. And every time they had endured, every time they had risen. "We find the humans first," he said. "They must see the value in what we're doing. If we unite, we can tip the balance." The Queen nodded. Her hand brushed over the star map projection, glowing with countless systems, countless dangers. "Then we make them see. Humans survive by choice, by intelligence, and by courage. That is what will save us now." Hours passed in tense silence, punctuated only by the sound from the ship and the distant echoes of hyperspace turbulence. Yarrick felt again the thrill of purpose, the raw clarity that only comes when one's life is bound to something far greater than oneself. The first system they entered was a mining colony on the edge of human space, a collection of rocky outposts orbiting a sun-faded gas giant. Sensors indicated life, but little else. The colony was quiet, suspicious, abandoned by those who feared alien retaliation. "Humans are hiding," the Queen said, her voice sharp. "They are scared, but fear can be turned into action. Courage can be rekindled." Yarrick gritted his teeth. He had spent years in confined spaces, repairing engines and stabilizing systems under pressure, but now he felt that experience sharpened into something sharper: human ingenuity. They landed in a cratered clearing near the main colony hub. The air was thin and acrid, filled with dust and the remnants of mining explosions. Yarrick adjusted his suit and stepped out, scanning the perimeter for threats. Humans had fortified themselves, but the Queen's presence radiated authority and command, something that humans recognized, even when broken or afraid. The colony leader emerged, wary and armed. "What do you want?" he demanded, his voice rough from years of isolation. The Queen stepped forward, her posture regal, her voice unwavering. "We are here to unite humans. The galaxy is under threat. We cannot survive alone." Yarrick watched, fascinated, as humans began to listen. They hesitated, unsure, their fear palpable. But the Queen's calm certainty, combined with the human courage she had awakened in him, began to stir something within them. He realized then that humans were not just strong. They were adaptable. Even when battered, even when terrified, they responded to purpose, to leadership, to the spark of ingenuity that had allowed them to survive every challenge the universe had thrown at them. They spent days repairing the colony's defenses, retrofitting old mining ships into fighting vessels, scavenging materials, and training volunteers. Yarrick taught them navigation, mechanics, and evasive maneuvers. The Queen taught strategy, diplomacy, and the subtle art of commanding without fear. Slowly, humans who had hidden behind fear began to emerge. They learned that their greatest weapon was not technology alone, but intellect, courage, and unity. Then came the first attack. Alien raiders, sleek and deadly, emerged from hyperspace, intent on annihilation. Yarrick's heart pounded. The colony had only a handful of ships, far outmatched. But humans thrived in such moments. Their minds thrived on challenge, their courage sharpened like a blade under fire. "Positions!" Yarrick shouted. His voice carried over the comms, full of urgency and command. He took control of the colony's main ship, weaving through enemy fire with precision, improvising maneuvers that alien pilots could not anticipate. The Queen coordinated ground defenses, deploying automated turrets and traps, turning the colony into a maze of lethal surprises. Humans emerged from hiding, armed and ready, striking with speed, ingenuity, and ferocity. Missiles spiraled through the air, energy beams cut across the sky, and the battle became a chaotic symphony of destruction and brilliance. Yarrick's fingers flew over controls, rerouting power, stabilizing shields, and executing maneuvers no alien could predict. The aliens were precise, but humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability was the essence of human strength. Hours passed. Ships were destroyed, debris scattered across the cratered surface, but the humans held. Yarrick felt a surge of pride. Fear had been transformed into courage. Inexperience had been forged into ingenuity. Finally, the alien ships retreated, battered and confused. The colony survived. Humans had proven once again that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could overcome even the most advanced threats. The Queen approached Yarrick as he surveyed the battlefield, sweat and grime covering his face. "You see now," she asked, voice calm but fierce. "Humans are more than survivors. We are a force the galaxy cannot ignore." Yarrick nodded, feeling a fire ignite in his chest. He had always believed in the power of human ingenuity, but now he understood it in a way that resonated deep within him. Humans were not just clever. They were fearless, relentless, and capable of turning the impossible into the achievable. They spent the following days preparing for the next stage, forging alliances with other human outposts, sending coded messages to distant colonies, and gathering intelligence on alien movements. Every system they entered, every human they rallied, reinforced the truth. Humans thrive under pressure, adapted where others faltered, and fought with creativity and courage unmatched in the galaxy. Then came intelligence, a larger threat, a command fleet, vast and lethal, moving to crush human resistance once and for all. The Queen turned to Yarrick, eyes sharp and commanding. "This is the ultimate test," she said. "The galaxy will see what humans are truly capable of." Yarrick felt the weight of the universe settle on him. But he did not flinch. Humans had faced annihilation before. They had survived, adapted, and triumphed. And now, they would do so again on a scale the universe had never seen. They devised a plan, using human ingenuity to turn limited resources into devastating advantage. They laid traps, designed ambushes, and turned the galaxy itself into a battlefield where human cunning would outmatch alien precision. When the command fleet arrived, they were met not with scattered, fearful force, but with a united, intelligent, and relentless human army. Ships moved in coordinated patterns, exploiting every weakness, adapting to every attack, turning the tide with creativity and courage. Yarrick piloted the lead ship, weaving through enemy fire, deploying tactics that combined technology, instinct, and human daring. The Queen directed the fleet, her commands precise, her strategy flawless. Humans fought not just with weapons, but with intellect, with courage, with the unbreakable determination that had carried them from a single mechanic's act of bravery to the rallying of a galactic force. The battle raged for hours, every moment a test of endurance, ingenuity, and strength. Yet humans prevailed. Alien ships fell, command structures collapsed, and the galaxy began to take notice. The Queen turned to Yarrick, eyes blazing with pride. "You were right," she said. "Humans are unstoppable, not because of our technology, but because of our minds, our hearts, our spirit." Yarrick smiled, exhaustion and exhilaration warring within him. He had always believed in humanity's potential, but seeing it realized on a galactic scale was beyond anything he had imagined. They were not just survivors. They were architects of their destiny, masters of their fate, and now, legends in the making. The stars stretched endlessly before them. The galaxy had been challenged, and humans had risen to meet it. But the war was far from over. New threats would come. New trials would test courage, intelligence, and ingenuity. And humans would rise again. They would endure. They would conquer. They would shine, because the universe had underestimated them. And humans never allowed themselves to be underestimated. Yarrick gripped the controls, feeling the pulse of the galaxy beneath his hands. The Queen's gaze met his, unwavering and fierce. Together, they would reshape the fate of humanity and the galaxy itself. Yarrick wiped sweat from his brow, eyes glued to the controls. The Queen sat beside him, her gaze unflinching, scanning the vast map of star systems that glowed with the pulse of distant planets and fleets. "We are not merely fighting aliens," she said, voice low but commanding. "Something older moves in the shadows. Something the galaxy has forgotten but has not forgiven." Yarrick frowned. He had expected aliens, warlords, betrayals. But ancient powers? The galaxy had always been vast, dangerous, but now it was becoming personal. "What is it?" he asked, his fingers tightening on the console. The stars outside shimmered, as if they themselves were aware of what approached. "The architects," she said, almost in a whisper. "They are older than the first star, older than our histories. Their knowledge is absolute, their power unmatched, and they have marked humanity as a rising threat." Yarrick's pulse quickened. Humans had always been underestimated, frail, unpredictable, yet clever. And the architects, they were about to learn why underestimating humans was a fatal mistake. The Queen activated a hollow map of the galaxy. Clusters of alien fleets moved like predators, but beyond them, shadows shifted with strange energy patterns. "They cannot be defeated by force alone," she explained. "We must use intelligence, adaptability, cunning. Humans excel where others fail." Yarrick nodded, feeling that fire ignite inside him. He had always believed in human ingenuity, in problem-solving against impossible odds. Now, it would determine the fate of entire systems. The first challenge came in the form of a derelict station, orbiting a shattered moon. Legends called it a tomb of the architects, a place where their influence lingered like a ghost. Sensors flickered as they approached, systems misbehaving in ways that defied logic. Yarrick's fingers danced across the consoles, rerouting power, stabilizing circuits, improvising as systems resisted him. "This is what humans do," he muttered under his breath. "Adapt, survive, overcome." The Queen's hand brushed his shoulder. "You are right. Never doubt what humans can achieve." They docked the ship in a narrow bay, barely wider than their hull. Every movement was precise. Every breath counted. Inside, the station was a labyrinth of alien architecture, smooth, organic, almost alive. Walls pulsed faintly with energy, and strange glyphs shifted as if watching them. Yarrick felt a twinge of unease, but humans thrive in the face of fear. They had always adapted to the unknown. The Queen led him forward, her steps measured, every gesture confident. "Stay close," she said. "The station tests you. It probes weakness, fear, indecision." Jarek's heart pounded. He felt the air shift, heavy with energy that seemed to resonate with thought itself. Yet he moved forward, instincts guiding him, intellect sharpening with every step. Humans solved problems. Humans endured. And this station, for all its alien menace, would meet human ingenuity. They reached a chamber at the station's heart. A massive orb floated, suspended in energy fields, glyphs spinning in complex patterns. It hummed with power older than stars, a voice without sound echoing in their minds. "Intruders!" The voice resonated. "You are insignificant. You are mortal. You cannot challenge the architects." Jarek's hands tightened on the controls of his portable analyzer. "This is exactly the kind of challenge humans excel at," he whispered. He began to analyze energy flows, improvising circuits from his toolkit, rerouting power to destabilize the orb without triggering its defenses. The Queen watched, her eyes sharp, silently guiding him with subtle gestures. "This is a human moment," she said. "You, Jarek, are the force the galaxy underestimates." Hours passed. Every action required intuition, calculation, and nerve. The orb pulsed, probing, shifting, reacting. The station seemed alive, attempting to anticipate their every move. Yet humans adapted faster. Humans learned. Humans endured. Finally, the orb flickered, its hum faltering. Jarek activated the final override, and the chamber's energy collapsed into silence. The station trembled, then stilled, as if acknowledging human brilliance. The Queen's eyes met his. "You have done what others could not. You have outthought an architect. Humans are remarkable." Jarek smiled, chest-heaving. Fear had been transformed into action. Impossibility had become triumph. Humans had endured yet again. As they exited the chamber, alarms blared. Alien fleets, alerted by their presence, surged toward the station. The Queen turned to him, expression intense. "We leave now. Every second counts." Jarek raced the ship, heart hammering. Engines roared to life as they undocked, weaving through asteroid debris and enemy fire. Humans had turned what seemed like a trap into a victory. Every maneuver displayed their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. The alien fleets pursued relentlessly, but humans thrived under pressure. Jarek executed evasive maneuvers, calculated risk trajectories, and improvised with every second. The Queen coordinated countermeasures, guiding allies and sabotaging enemy formations. Hours of pursuit became a symphony of skill, strategy, and daring. Humans survived not because they were strongest, but because they were clever, unpredictable, and unyielding. Finally, they emerged into open space, battered but triumphant. The Queen leaned back, her gaze steady. "The galaxy will know humans cannot be ignored," she said. "They are clever, courageous, and unbroken." Jarek exhaled, feeling exhaustion mixed with exhilaration. He had always known humans were remarkable, but now he had seen it at a scale that dwarfed any battlefield or engineering challenge he had faced. They were a force of nature, resilient and brilliant, but there was no time to rest. New intelligence reached them, an alliance of alien powers, older than any they had faced, preparing to converge on human health systems. The Queen's voice was calm but urgent. "We must unite humanity and allies across the galaxy. We cannot fight alone." Jarek's mind raced. Humans had survived deserts, jungles, wars, and alien predators. They had always adapted, turning weakness into strength. And now, the survival of civilizations depended on their ingenuity, courage, and unity. They set course for the Solari Expanse, a cluster of human colonies that had remained isolated after the first wave of alien conquests. Every system they passed, Jarek and the Queen worked tirelessly, sending encrypted messages, gathering support, and forging a coalition of human ingenuity and bravery. When they arrived, the colonies were wary. Fear had made them cautious, fractured, yet humans could be inspired. Humans could unite. The Queen addressed the leaders, her voice commanding yet gentle. "The galaxy underestimates us. The alien fleets and the architects see only weakness. But humans endure. Humans adapt. Humans conquer. And together, we will rise to reclaim what is ours. Yer demonstrated strategies, engineering feats, and tactics that showcase human ingenuity. Every demonstration ignited hope, courage, and determination in those who had hidden behind fear. And then, the first strike came. Alien forces attacked, expecting an easy victory. Yarrick and the Queen's coalition responded with coordinated maneuvers, traps, and improvisation that no alien could predict. Every colony contributed, every ship, every human, became part of a living, breathing force. The battle raged across space, brilliant and chaotic, yet humans endured, adapted, and triumphed. When the dust settled, human losses were few compared to the devastation they inflicted on the enemy. Every victory was proof. Human intelligence, courage, and ingenuity were unmatched. They had turned fear into strength, chaos into strategy, and survival into dominance. The Queen turned to Yarrick, eyes fierce and proud. "You see now," she said, "humans are unstoppable, not because of strength, but because of heart, mind, and spirit." Yarrick nodded. He had always believed, but now he knew. Humans did not merely survive the galaxy. They mastered it. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a vast battlefield waiting to be shaped by human courage, ingenuity, and unity. And Yarrick, a simple engineer turned hero, realized that the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The war was far from over. Ancient powers still stirred. Alien alliances conspired. Yet humanity stood unbroken, ready to rise, adapt, and conquer. Yarrick gripped the controls, eyes steady. The Queen's hand touched his shoulder. Together, they would lead humanity into legend. The universe had yet to witness the full force of human potential. And when it did, nothing, not alien fleets, not ancient powers, not impossible odds, would stand in their way. The galaxy seemed endless, a sea of stars stretching beyond comprehension. Yarrick sat in the cockpit of the restored flagship, his hands resting on the controls, though the tension in his body refused to ease. The Queen, no longer just a warrior, but the ruler of countless star systems, stood beside him, her presence a calm storm of authority and power. Behind them lay a trail of victories and losses, alliances forged in fire, betrayal survived, and battles fought with courage and ingenuity. The humans they had rallied, scattered and fractured, as they once were, now moved as one, a united force in a universe that had long dismissed them as fragile and insignificant. And yet, the galaxy was far from peaceful. The architects, ancient and formidable, still stirred, their influence reaching like shadows through every corner of known space. The flagship trembled slightly as sensors picked up distant anomalies. Yarrick leaned forward, reading the readings with careful eyes. He had repaired ships, rerouted power, and piloted through asteroid belts, alien ambushes, and collapsing stations. But now the stakes were larger than any engineering challenge. The survival of humanity and the future of the Queen's reclaimed empire rested on every decision he made. The Queen's gaze scanned the galaxy with a clarity that made his pulse quicken. "They are gathering," she said quietly. Her voice carried weight, a tone that demanded attention even from the empty air of the cockpit. "They will not attack openly. The architects do not favor direct confrontation. They manipulate, they anticipate, they provoke. But humans," her eyes met his, sharp and unwavering. "Humans are unpredictable. That is their greatest strength." Yarrick swallowed, feeling a surge of determination. Humans thrived in adversity, in impossibility, in moments when logic and fear suggested surrender. They endured, adapted, and overcame. And now, the entire galaxy would witness it. The first wave of enemy fleets emerged from hyperspace near the outer colonies, a storm of sleek, black ships, bristling with weapons and alien technology beyond comprehension. Yarrick's fingers flew across the controls, recalibrating shields, plotting evasive routes, rerouting power to engines, weapons, and defense systems simultaneously. Every action required precision, foresight, and courage. Every decision could mean life or annihilation. The Queen's voice was calm, sharp, guiding him, yet every syllable carried authority and inspiration. "Focus, Yarrick. Predict their patterns. Exploit their assumptions. Humans thrive where they underestimate us." And they did. The flagship surged forward, weaving through enemy formations, dodging laser volleys and missile barges with ingenuity that no alien fleet anticipated. Yara coordinated the fleet, improvising maneuvers that combined instinct, analysis, and pure audacity. Ships that had once been mining vessels now danced through the void like deadly predators, piloted by humans who had learned courage and cunning under fire. Every strike, every evasive maneuver, every improvised tactic was a testament to humanity's ingenuity. The aliens were precise, but humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability was the essence of survival and conquest. Hours passed in a blur of chaos, explosions, and brilliance. The flagship weaved through the battlefield, leading the human fleet in a daring gambit to draw the alien command vessels into a trap designed with pure human ingenuity. Yarrick had calculated angles, velocities, energy flows, and reaction patterns, all in the middle of battle, under fire, with no margin for error. Humans thrived in moments like this, and now their brilliance would decide the fate of entire systems. The trap was sprung. Alien command ships were lured into a narrow gravitational corridor near a collapsing star. Yarrick and the Queen orchestrated the attack with precision, humans striking with speed, daring, and creativity. The aliens underestimated them, misjudged human ingenuity, and paid the price. Explosions lit the void like fireworks, brilliant, terrifying, and beautiful. Ships spun, faltered, and fell into the gravity of the collapsing star. The human fleet adapted instantly, exploiting every weakness, covering retreats, and striking with unrelenting precision. The Queen's hand touched Jarrick's shoulder, a brief acknowledgement of trust, pride, and shared triumph. "You see now," she said softly, her voice carrying above the hum of the flagship's engines. "Humans are unstoppable, not because we're strongest, but because we think, adapt, and never surrender." Yarrick nodded, chest heaving, adrenaline surging. He had always known humans were clever, resilient, and courageous, but seeing it in action across fleets and star systems was beyond comprehension. Humans were more than survivors. They were architects of their destiny, a force of ingenuity and spirit that no alien or ancient power could contain. Even as the last alien command ship fell into the star's gravity well, a pulse of energy reverberated through the galaxy. The architects, sensing the human defiance, began to stir, their influence reaching deeper, older, more dangerous. The Queen turned to Yarrick, her expression unreadable. "They see us now," she said, "and they do not forgive easily. The final challenge is coming." Jarrick's stomach tightened, but fear was replaced by resolve. Humans did not merely survive. They rose. They endured impossibility. They outthought, outmaneuvered, and outlasted. And now, the ultimate test awaited. The fleet gathered near the heart of the galaxy, a coalition of human systems united by courage, intelligence, and shared purpose. Every colony, every ship, every mind contributed to a strategy designed to face the architects themselves. Yarrick oversaw the preparations, rerouting power, calibrating weapon systems, and designing fail-safes. Humans were engineering miracles in real time, turning scarce resources into unmatched advantage. When the architects' emissaries arrived, towering and alien, reality itself seemed to warp. Their presence was immense, ancient, and overwhelming. Yet humans stood unflinching. Their courage was unwavering, their intellect unmatched in adaptability. The battle began, not with weapons alone, but with strategy, improvisation, and intellect. Jarrick's calculations, combined with human audacity, disrupted the architect's energy fields. The Queen directed precise maneuvers, exploiting weaknesses the ancient beings had never anticipated. Humans acted as one, unpredictable, brilliant, and relentless. Hours stretched into days. Systems trembled, planets shook, and energy pulses ripped through the void. Yet humans endured. Humans adapted. Humans conquered. Finally, the tide turned. The architects' power faltered, their control over the galaxy disrupted by ingenuity, courage, and human unpredictability. Yarrick and the Queen led a decisive strike, a coordinated assault of human engineering, tactical brilliance, and fearless daring. The architects recoiled, ancient and powerful, yet unable to comprehend the human spirit. With one final, brilliant maneuver, the human fleet dismantled their control networks, severing influence over the galaxy and leaving the alien powers fractured. Silence followed, a pause that echoed across space. Stars twinkled in distant systems. Humans had survived the impossible. Humans had outthought the ancient and conquered the unconquerable. Yarrick leaned back, exhausted but alive. The Queen placed a hand on his shoulder, eyes fierce yet proud. "The galaxy is free," she said, "and humans have proven what we always knew. Our strength lies not only in might, but in courage, ingenuity, and heart." Yarrick smiled, the weight of years of survival, fear, and challenge lifting. Humans had turned impossible odds into triumphs. They had united, adapted, and conquered, proving that nothing, not ancient powers, not alien fleets, not impossible challenges, could break their spirit. The fleet dispersed, colonies celebrated, and the galaxy, vast and dangerous, began to acknowledge the rise of humanity. They were no longer underestimated. They were a force of intellect, courage, and resilience. Legends in the making. The Queen turned to Yarrick one final time, her gaze softening. "You thought you were just helping a warrior," she said. "You helped shape a galaxy. Humans endure. Humans adapt. Humans conquer. And we will continue to do so." Yarrick nodded, feeling a deep satisfaction and unshakable purpose. He had repaired ships and saved lives before, but now he had saved civilizations. He had witnessed human potential at its peak, and the galaxy would remember. The stars stretched infinitely before them, a reminder that challenges would always arise. Yet humans would rise to meet them. They would endure. They would adapt. They would conquer. And so, with courage, intellect, and ingenuity as their guides, humans forged a new era in the galaxy, a legacy that would echo across generations, proving once and for all that even in the vast, indifferent universe, humanity was a force unlike any other. Yarrick sat back in the cockpit, the hum of the flagship soothing after the chaos. The Queen gazed out at the stars, her expression resolute, a promise of leadership and vision. Together, they had proven what humans could achieve when fear was set aside and ingenuity, courage, and unity took the lead. The galaxy was vast. Challenges would rise. Ancient powers, alien threats, and impossible odds would return. But humans had faced the impossible before, and they would do so again, smarter, stronger, braver than ever.